probably heard the saying that if you're lonely when you're alone, then you're in bad company. You know, that saying is by Jean-Paul Sartre. But think about it for a second. Why do so many of us fear being alone? Why do we avoid those quiet moments at all cost? And the answer to that is pretty simple. It's because we've been taught to see solitude as something to escape from rather than something to embrace. But what if I told you that learning to be alone could be the most empowering thing that you ever do? Have you ever caught yourself scrolling endlessly on your phone, watching Netflix in the background, or reaching out to someone? Not because you need to, but just because you didn't want to sit alone in silence. You're not alone in this. We live in a world that glorifies busyness and connection. But deep down, many of us are terrified of being alone with our own thoughts. The truth is, being alone feels uncomfortable because it forces us to confront the parts of ourselves we've been avoiding. In the silence, our insecurities get louder. Our doubts creep in. We start questioning our own worth. And that's pretty scary. But here's the thing. Running from yourself only makes the fear stronger. There's a big difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is the pain of feeling disconnected from others. It's like being in a crowded room and still feeling invisible. Solitude, on the other hand, is a choice. It's the joy of being fully present with yourself, free from distractions, free from demands. There's a quote that says, "A person who masters the art of solitude is never alone." So ask yourself, do you fear being alone, or do you fear feeling lonely? Because those aren't the same thing at all. Think about a time when you felt lonely in a relationship. Maybe you had someone by your side, but you still felt misunderstood or unseen. Now contrast that with the moment when you're really alone, doing something you love, like reading, walking in nature, or journaling. In that moment, didn't you feel at peace? That's the power of solitude. When you spend time alone, you create space for self-reflection. You start asking yourself questions like, who am I when no one is watching? What do I truly want out of life? These moments of clarity are where growth begins. I know someone who was terrified of being alone after their breakup. For years, they jumped from one relationship to the next, using people as a distraction from their pain. But the moment they decided to spend time alone, traveling alone, journaling, going to therapy, they discovered parts of themselves they never knew existed. They realized they were capable, they were strong, and they were enough. Now, what are some benefits of solitude? In solitude, you reconnect with yourself. You rediscover hobbies, passions, and goals that might have been buried under the noise of daily life. You stop looking for external validation because you learn to validate your own self. Instead of thinking of solitude as a punishment, think of it as a reset button. It's not about isolating yourself from the world. It's about creating a space where you can recharge, reflect, and grow. Remember, the best ideas, the greatest art, and the most meaningful breakthroughs often happen in solitude. You know, there's another quote that says, loneliness is the poverty of self. Solitude is the richness of self. When you embrace solitude, you shift from feeling empty to feeling full of potential, creativity, and self-awareness. Take nature for an example. A tree doesn't grow by competing with the trees next to it. It grows by rooting itself deeply into the earth, soaking up sunlight and water, and standing tall on its own. You're the same. When you nurture yourself in solitude, you become stronger and more grounded. Here are 5 steps to embrace and enjoy solitude. Step 1. Start small. Begin with 10 to 15 minutes a day. Sit quietly, journal, or meditate. Use this time to check in with yourself. What are you feeling? What do you need? Step 2. Pursue a solo hobby. Try something you enjoy doing alone. It could be painting, reading, gardening, or hiking. These activities will help you associate solitude with joy and not discomfort. Step 3. Practice gratitude. Instead of focusing on what's missing, focus on what you have. Gratitude shifts your mindset from lack to abundance. Step 4. Disconnect to reconnect. Turn off your phone. Step away from distractions and give yourself the gift of undivided attention. And step 5. Be patient. Learning to enjoy your own company is a process. It's okay if it feels awkward at first. Growth takes time. So, next time you feel afraid of being alone, remember this. The relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship in your life. When you can sit in solitude and feel at peace, you've won a battle most people will never even fight. As you go through life, there will be times when people leave, when things change, and when you feel like all you have is yourself. In those moments, remind yourself that being alone doesn't mean that you're broken. It means you have the opportunity to rebuild, to reconnect, and to grow into the person that you were meant to be. Now I challenge you, take 1 hour this week to just be with yourself. No distractions, no excuses, just you. And if you feel uncomfortable, ask yourself why. Because the answers you find might just change your life. Learn to love your own company and you will never feel alone again.